meeting is being recorded.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for staying with us throughout the day and attending our session on Georgia's Best. We are in the presence of greatness this afternoon, and we have with us Cole Buffington. Cole is going to start us out with why he wants to teach. And after Cole, many of you have met Michael Cabito. He's been with us throughout the day today. He is our Teacher of the Year, and he's from Woodland High School in Cartersville, Georgia, where he actually went to school. So he'll tell us a little bit more about his background. And then, of course, we are so thrilled to have with us Dr. Maurice Price. She is our Georgia Superintendent of the Year. And that means that she has done some tremendous work in her school district to make sure that all children are learning. And we're going to hear from her as our last speaker on why I lead. Okay, so if we could start, Cole, whenever you're ready.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so I have a little presentation I made. So hi, my name is Cole Buffington. I want to be a teacher. Make sure I got my time. Okay, I want to be a teacher. So why? Because, why not? Okay, so a little bit about me first. I'm a student at the Academy for Advanced Studies in Locust Grove High School. I am exploring entrepreneurship and also teaching as a profession. I'm a senior, and I want to major in senior in high school, sorry. And I want to major in middle grades education and either minor in educational psychology or business administration. But my main goal is to, be a teacher and then transition to a leadership role to be a catalyst for change, because change is something we all need. Just saying. Okay. So I have four, objectives or categories of why I want to be a teacher. So first, I have an inspiration. I have a need to help. So my grandmother, actually, she's a bus driver for Henry County Schools here in Stockbridge, Georgia. And she makes a huge impact on her kids that she drives every single day, and, I lived with her for a little bit, and I saw, she had to wake up at 4:30 in the morning. Oh my gosh. And she's a big part of students' lives, and not just evidenced by all these Dunkin' Donuts gift cards, but she's a big inspiration for me. So one other category is an impact of educators. So for me, educators make educators. So you guys don't understand how much of a difference you make in your words every day. Anything you guys do, you make a huge difference. Like, even if I talk to you for a minute, like, you make my day. Like, I've had so many educators, like Miss Craft in third grade, she read a book. It was awesome, but she was there for me emotionally when I needed it, because, I'm in third grade, I'm growing, and she was just so supportive of anything I needed. And then right now, last year in 11th grade, Miss Dickey, she was a huge inspiration, because I told her, hey, I want to be a teacher. And you know what she teaches? Teaching as a profession. And she got me into her program. And next year, I'll actually be doing an internship at a middle school, because I want to teach middle school. Crazy, I know. And originally, I actually wanted to teach music education, because I play the string bass guitar, violin, musician here. Woo. And I'm actually in a band now, but like at my school band, because my school doesn't have an orchestra. So yeah. Okay. So why do I want to be a teacher? So I have a huge passion for making a difference. Oh my gosh, a huge passion. So like at conferences or any performances, I'm there, I'm making a speech, I'm trying my best to make a difference, to influence anything going on with me. And I'm the president of Future Georgia Educators at my school, which I've started a teacher morale program. It's a Teacher of the Week program where students vote for their favorite teacher. and we give them a huge gift basket that we got donated from local businesses, gift cards, perfumes, everything like that, anything they love. And it just, I want to make a difference. So you've heard a lot about AFT today, probably Academy for Future Teachers. This summer was my second year. You can see me right there with a lot of, because I made a lot of friends in AFT, and I had like mentors. They call me Dr. Buffington. And they encouraged me so much to just go, follow my dreams. I had a little notebook where I had my friends and my mentors write a little something in it. And like, I remember Miss Jones, she wrote that I'm going to be the teacher of the year for science education one day. And that just, oh my gosh, I'll be driving down the road and just think about that. Okay. So now I want to take questions from you guys, and just come on. Mute your microphone or say something in the chat. I don't think I can see the chat though.
Oh, you're such an inspiration to us.
Thank you.
Our AFT is designed for students like you with that passion, because it catches on with other students, and we need teachers in Georgia, all over the country, really. Right now, the shortages are just tremendous. So people are saying they love your positive energy. And are there questions for Cole right now?
I don't have a question, but I definitely was going to address the passion and inspiration that he seems to have. And from what I've read, even the other two panelists for this session have. But Cole has kind of started a end of this presentation with a pep rally here. Love it, Cole. Love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Cole, continue along your path with that leadership. I love that you're leading your Future Teachers Club at your school. And just imagine if we had Coles all over the state like that, who were championing teaching and highlighting their favorite teachers. And it's so positive, Cole. So we support you here at Georgia State, and we are 100% behind you. We're on the Cole team. So if you need us, we're here to support you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and there might be other questions or comments at the end of our session.
Right.
Okay, so now we're going to go with Michael Cabito, our Teacher of the Year for Georgia. We're so excited.
Thanks, and thank you so much for having me. Once I learned a little bit more about your program, I just was so inspired by the great work that you do and how much you pour into what is the most important profession in our country and on earth. And wow, Cole, what a rock star. I was so excited to see that string bass in that second slide. It's like, I'm a music educator. Music is important, and your inspiration and drive at such an early age is inspiring to an old person like me. So thank you for being so enthusiastic and kicking this thing off. The question that was posed for me was, why do I teach? And I'll start off by telling a little story. I love to learn. That's the main reason I love to teach. Learning is cool. I like to experience learning as a student. I like to share learning by going through things with other people and learning. And I like to facilitate learning. My first facilitation experience happened when I moved to the United States. I actually started my education in Britain. So I came to Cartersville, Georgia, which is up in Northwest Georgia, a little kid with a really strong British accent, and people were very confused about why I looked how I did and why I talked how I did. And I'll never forget, it was like the first week of school, and my teacher was talking about the American Revolution. And, young Michael decided to educate the class and let them know that it was no revolution, but instead a bloody rebellion by some immature colonies. Got sent straight to the principal's office. So my debut as a teacher did not really go that well, but my love for learning and teaching started there and continued from that point on. As my educational journey continued, I had some teachers that really encouraged me to pursue this. I was a relatively talented trumpet player. I liked to help my friends and my peers in classes. And as I walked down the hallways of Woodland High School, which is where I went to school and now where I teach, there's a row of pictures on the hallway.
This meeting is being recorded.
And the meeting is being recorded. There was a hallway where there were pictures of all the past teachers of the year from Woodland High School. I remember seeing Miss Queen's face and Mr. Willoughby's face and Miss Candela's face, all these teachers that I had. And I was like, someday that's going to be me. So that was a huge inspiration for me, just knowing that the people that had a difference on me were being honored and respected in our school. You fast forward, I get through high school, I graduate, I go to UGA, go Dogs, I graduate, and I get to my first day of pre-planning as a teacher. And the principal comes out, he's a relatively young guy, his name's Chase Puckett, and he says, I'm going to dispel a myth for you. Teaching does not get any easier. Teaching actually might get harder, you just get better at it, which for a lot of people might be scary, but for me, being a nerd that loved to learn, it's like, here we go. Challenge accepted. What can I do? How can I continue to learn? And that continued to help me be driven and excited about the idea of teaching and helping and continuing to learn. But recently, after this whole Teacher of the Year announcement, which has been, a whirlwind in itself, someone asked me probably an even more poignant question, which was, why do you still teach? Which that was pretty earth-shattering. If you were in the session with Superintendent Woods, you probably heard him talk a little bit about the teacher burnout report and the recruitment, retention, those issues going on. And that question kind of caught me in my tracks a little bit. And then it kind of lit a fire in me of like, okay, you asked the right guy this question because I was ready for it. I continue to teach because I love to learn. You've heard that already. But I also know how big of an impact we as educators have. I walk around my school building and I see these kids that need somebody. They need someone to teach them, inspire them, be a role model for them. Now I know that I can do that. I've got the skill set for it. I've got the gift, I think. I've got the talent, I think. But most importantly, I've got the passion for what we do. I know that the opportunities I provide my kids, they don't get that anywhere else except for in the school building. I've taken my kids to play March in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York City. I've taken my students to play in the major stages all across our state. I'm taking my students to march in the London New Year's Day Parade in like 5 months. But most importantly, I've given my students a chance to figure out how to learn and how to love learning. Most of my kids are going to graduate from high school and they're not going to be high school band directors. That's okay. Most of my kids aren't going to be professional musicians when they graduate from my program, and that's okay. But I teach because I got the opportunity to instill learning in kids. And the other part of why I still teach and why I love to teach, I'm a sucker for a good cliche or a good catchphrase. During COVID, fake it till you make it until you become it was like the bumper sticker that was on my bathroom mirror every time I woke up and got to brushing my teeth. I knew fake it till you make it. Sometimes it's not going to be a fun day, but if you fake it enough and you put that smile on, I bet you're going to make your day better. But my latest catchphrase that I've been thinking about is the 3 Ps that I live by. This is my whole thing right now. Number 1, the first P is purpose. I know what my purpose is. My purpose is to inspire the love of learning and of music in all of my students. That's the first P. The second P is passion. I love music. I love learning. And I know for me that my purpose and my passion are those 2 things. And the third P that I think all of us could hopefully walk away with is it's okay to be living in the present. It's so easy to think, man, the last couple of years have been really hard. And it's really easy to think, where could I be next year that's not here? But it's okay to be in the present and know the students are a little bit behind right now because of what they've gone through. Let's be in the present. I'm really stressed out right now. Summer's about to end. I have to go back to work. Let's live in the present right now. Let's be okay with this. And as we continue to learn and grow, instead of thinking about milestones are coming up in 7 months, let me get stressed. Let's live in the present and meet our kids where they are. So for me, that's my big slogan, the 3 Ps. Purpose, I know my purpose. Passion, I love what I do. And it's okay to live in the present. So for me, that's kind of a lot of information in a short amount of time, but that kind of hopefully explains why I do what I do. And if you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to field them now. I can also just keep talking, but I'd love to field some questions from you in regards to how I create a culture in my classroom of excellence, or how I stay driven, or whatever it may be.
Thank you, Michael, so much. I'm trying to see if there are any questions in the chats, but it's all like high fives, like powerful, like thanks. Our world needs you. Ah, so
I'll say our world needs all of us. So
yeah.
if you have those questions, then throw them at me. And I know that it's so easy to go to these things and be like, wow, that was so inspirational. How on earth do I apply that to my life?
Yeah.
And if you have a question, a nuts and bolts question, throw it out there. I think I saw Cole raise a hand.
Yes, Cole has a question in the chat. Yeah. So Cole wants to know, what is your biggest advice for future educators?
My biggest advice for future educators is never be afraid to ask the question. Always be on the pursuit of learning more. It's so easy for us when we get through our programs to think, I've got my degree now. I'm the master of blank subject. I know it. I'm the master in my classroom. I know the answers. And the truth is, you probably should know most of the answers of what you're going to teach. But if you get to a point where you're not interested in learning, or you think that you've got all the answers, then it might be time to go ahead and hang up the boots and move on to something else. I think for future educators, it's so important to be interested and driven and committed to learning all the time. When you go to your degree program, Cole, I would encourage you to ask as many questions as you can, get to class early, stay after class late, and continue to be curious about not just your subject area, but about people, other subject areas, school, politics, finances, all of those things. Learn. That's what we instill. We've got to model that too.
Great question. One of my favorite quotes is by Michelangelo, and it's, "I'm still learning." So from the great to the great, we've got to keep on learning. Thank you, Michael.
Yes.
Great.
There's also a great quote by Pablo Casals, who's a famous cellist. He was 93 years old and he was still practicing. Someone said, why are you still practicing? You're the master of this instrument. He said, I think I'm making some progress. That was his response. And he was pretty good. Think yo-yo ma, multiply that by 4, and that's Pablo Casals. So there's another great quote for you.
Yes. Wonderful. There was one last question before we move on, and that was about music.
Sure.
How did you get turned on to music?
That's a great story. I actually, looking at me, you probably can't tell. I used to be a pretty good athlete. I was super competitive. I was a soccer player in England, then I moved to America, so I was pretty dominant because people didn't play soccer as much here. But I got to middle school and I tried to make a sound on a trumpet mouthpiece and I couldn't do it. I was really bad. And the person testing me out said, maybe music's not for you. And my response was, challenge accepted. So I started band in middle school, and it actually became the one place in my life where competition was not the thing that fueled me. Making music was so powerful to me because if I was the best that I could be and the kid next to me was the best they could be, then the band would be awesome. It was not about me being better than them, because me being better than them means that they're worse than me, which means we're not as good as we could be. So music, the reason I got turned on to music, because I was turned down at the beginning, and then I was just, a fire was lit under me of, I don't have to compete. I just need to get better. And that was really inspiring. And now it's my entire, I love it. I love it more than most things in life. So great question. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Michael. Okay, so, the importance of a good leader is so important to this field. If you don't have a good leader in the school to set the tone, then we're going to continue to lose teachers, and retention will be an issue upon us. So I take great pride in introducing to you our Superintendent of the Year, Dr. Maurice Price. I have known her for quite a while now, many years. When we were thinking about writing this grant, we asked her if she would write us a letter of support, and it was the first one that we got. So Dr. Price, I'd like to open the floor to you and for you to tell us a little bit about why you lead. And unmute for us. Yeah.
So I first want to say, Cole, when you graduate, come to Baldwin County. You have a job. I love your passion, and we need more and more teachers like you. And Michael, thank you for being inspiring and for doing what you do for your students. I am just inspired and ready to conquer the world after listening to the two of you. I was asked to share what I lead, and their assumptions that are made about me and who I am. So in order for me to tell you why I lead, I have to tell you who I am. So I just put together a very short presentation to share with you why I lead. I'm an immigrant. I was born in the Dominican Republic, and I have a map of the Dominican Republic, and I was born in Santiago, which is in the upper northern part of the Dominican Republic, and it shares the island of Hispaniola with Haiti. So the primary language in the Dominican Republic is Spanish. This is me. This is my passport photo. I came to the United States when I was 10 years old, not speaking any English whatsoever. And I encountered many challenges. And I grew up in poverty. I know what it's like to go hungry. I know what it's like not to have utilities. I know what it's like to have an eviction notice and not know if you're going to have a place to live. And so in spite of those obstacles and challenges, I had educators along the way that saw my potential and didn't give up on me. I do have 4 siblings, and 2 of them were born in the Dominican Republic and 2 here in the United States. I grew up in New York City in the South Bronx. This is a picture of the apartment building where I grew up. I grew up in apartment 3B in the South Bronx, not too far from Yankee Stadium, although I never had the opportunity to go to a baseball game growing up. And you can see a map of the city there where I was born, which is where I grew up, which was the South Bronx. This is my mom. My mom and dad had a 6th grade education. And so they worked 2 jobs, but they believed in education. And all they wanted for us was to graduate from high school. And if we graduated from high school, then we were going to be successful. My mom passed away 22 years ago. And so she's never had the opportunity to hear about all of my successes, but I know that she's smiling down on me. And then that's a picture of my high school, William Howard Taft on 172nd and Sheridan Avenue in the Bronx. And I love this quote by Rita Pearson. She says, "Every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they can possibly be." You heard Cole talk about that passion, that commitment, and you heard Michael talk about that as well. And so I was very fortunate to have champions along the way, but my biggest champion was my high school counselor, Miss Celine Wareham. She is the only person of color in this picture. So that's Miss Wareham. Miss Wareham was my high school counselor, and Miss Wareham said, "Norris, there is a bigger world outside of New York City. And although your mom just wants you to graduate from college, you're going to go from high school, you're going to go to college." So Miss Celine not only said you're going to go to college, she took me to visit colleges. She helped me fill out my college application. She helped me fill out my financial aid application. And she chose the college that I was going to go to. So I am the first person in my family to graduate from high school and the first person in my family to graduate from college. And Miss Celine chose Wilmington College in rural Ohio, from the largest city in the country to one of the smallest communities in the United States. And it was a culture shock for me. But that's when I decided to go into education, because just for the same reason that Michael talked about in Cole, I wanted to make a difference. I knew the importance of public education, and I believe that public education is a game changer. And so that motivated me to get into education and to become a teacher. And that's also where I met my future husband. And we've been married now for 39 years. So why do I lead? This is why I lead. This is a posting of a former student that I had when I was an elementary school principal. And I don't remember this incident that she describes in this posting, But all I know is that as educators, we can make or break a child. Our words make a difference. Our actions make a difference. So I'm going to read this to you and just indulge me for a minute. But this was a posting about, I was being appointed to the Georgia Children's Cabinet, and she responded to the posting, and she said, "This is what a hero looks like. My experience as an elementary school student at Woodland Elementary impacted me so much. Maurice Price remembered my name in the hallway when I was feeling sad and lonely in the 2nd grade. I'll never forget the way she took time out of her day to comfort me. Amazing teachers and staff like Amy Adams Peterman, Wendy Skeet, and Jerry Littman are still in my life. Thanks to the wonderful culture cultivated by Dr. Price, who allowed the true talents and beautiful, loving personalities of her staff to positively impact every student. After a few years of working in different schools as a teacher, I am again appreciative of Dr. Price and inspired by her yet again. Thank you for your service." So I don't remember this incident that she described, but she remembers how I made her feel. And I want you to know that there was an event a month ago that some of my friends had from me in celebration of being named Superintendent of the Year. And Joya came to that event to thank me 25 years later about the difference that I made in her life. And so I believe education is a great equalizer. It is a game changer. And I believe that I lead because I want to make sure that our students are able to achieve their dreams and aspirations. And I have the power as a leader to assemble the very best team to make that happen for every child that is entrusted to us to educate. So I'm going to conclude with this statement from Nelson Mandela. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And that's why I lead, and that's why I do what I do. Thank you.
Wow, for all of our presenters. Dr. Price, you have been with Nurture, Project Nurture, since the very beginning in supporting us. And you're in our area of service in Baldwin County. So today we'd like to present to you, and you'll get it in the mail, just a token of our appreciation for you and for your achievement as the Superintendent of the Year for Georgia. So this is just a little replica right here. Yours is much prettier.
Thank you so much.
And okay, and Michael and Cole, you're going to receive a little something of showing our appreciation from you two in the mail. You know, with this virtual business, it's too bad you can't walk up on the stage and get it, but we'll get back there one day soon, hopefully. But we thank you too, both of you, for joining us in this panel session today. Now,
any questions? I don't know if anybody has
yes, any questions
for me. And I failed to mention that I've been in education for over 35 years. I'm still as passionate as I ever was about educating and making a difference. And I've been a superintendent. I'm entering my 9th year as superintendent in the Baldwin County School District.
Any questions for Dr. Price?
Okay.
Cole, go ahead.
So I am from Stockbridge, Georgia, and I actually went to Woodland Elementary School and Woodland Middle School. So I just thought that was, funny because, Mr. Cabito, Woodland High School now, Dr. Price was at Woodland Elementary, and I was at Woodland Elementary Middle. Okay.
Wow.
And Dr. Price, you are where I want to be in a couple years.
Right, well, just continue with that passion, that drive. I heard you talk about inspiring, impacting. I heard you say that you were passionate and that you want to make a difference. And those are things that we cannot teach. I can teach you the content. I can teach you the pedagogy, but I can't teach you to be passionate and to care and to really inspire the students that you're going to teach. So just continue along that path. Don't lose that passion.
Okay,
I would just like to say, Dr. Price, I really appreciate your leadership, Not only do you lead throughout Georgia, but you are especially impactful in our rural communities that really need strong leadership and the best of best teachers. So thank you for going ahead and offering Cole a position. I hope that he'll take you seriously because those communities are in such need, but there is so much potential there. So thank you, thank you.
Absolutely. And anybody else that you have, send them our way. That's the biggest challenge that we have in rural Georgia, is attracting and retaining the best and brightest. And so we are always thinking of ways that we can build that teacher pipeline. And one of the things that we've done is we actually implemented a pathway, teaching as a profession, so we can grow our own, because it's so hard to really fill our vacancies in rural communities. And our kids need to be just as competitive as the kids in Cobb and Fulton and Gwinnett and DeKalb and Clayton and APS. And so that's what I want. I want them to be able to compete. And in order to do that, I have to have the best teaching them. And so I'm looking for great teachers. Send them my way.
Okay, so the title of this session, Georgia's Best, lived up to all expectations. I want to thank so much our three panelists for sharing with us this afternoon. And I believe now Dr. Feinberg is going to come to us with some questions and to respond to some questions and with answers. And to also talk a little bit about a couple of other initiatives. Dr. Feinberg?
Thank you, Dr. Benson. So I hope everyone had as an amazing conference symposium as I did. Just incredible sessions. I learned so much. And really, I think our name of nurturing really fit for today, and as well as just inspiration. You know, nurturing inspiration should have been the title. I appreciate y'all for being here. So what questions do you have at this moment? I think Aaron was going to have me point out that everything's been recorded, and hopefully you noticed that. It's a little late if you didn't. But everything's being recorded and will be posted for you to visit at a future time. If there's a session you missed or you would like to revisit a session that you joined, they will be available. So what questions? Feel free to throw them at the chat or open your mic at this point. And Kimberly, thank you so much. Aaron, you're amazing. Really appreciate your role in this conference. You really helped. Without your expertise in the technology, this would not have been possible. So thank you, Aaron, too. So what questions? I'm horrible at wait times. I'm not going to close it off at all, but I just wanted to share with you one of these little tips that some of you've heard me say, is that I like to say, what questions do you have, rather than a close-ended version, which is, do you have questions? So little educator tip. So start with, what questions do you have? And that leaves it more open-ended, and people think about, what question do I have? Instead of a yes or no, do I have any questions?
I am wondering, Dr. Feinberg, what opportunities do we have, us in Nurture, to partner with the Department of Education, you know, the Georgia Department of Ed, especially since the state superintendent was here? I think that would be a great collaboration. Any ideas, Dr. Benson?
Well, I think we can have an audience with Dr. Woods now. He's familiar with us and our work, and he took the time out of his busy schedule to attend our symposium. So, and having our lobbyists there and others from the Department of Education, I think it sets the tone for us to have that conversation. So, so I plan to take that back to our dean and associate deans and invite our legislative liaison over and see how we can make that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll point out that one of the people who has signed on for this grant, as well as other proposals that we have, is the associate or deputy superintendent, let me say it right, for Georgia schools, who is one of our own from Georgia State, Dr. Dooley. And so she's been a wonderful, supportive, person from that level. And, if we ever need help with literacy, which, that's a great area for us to tap her expertise, we definitely have the support of the Department of Education.
Mm-hmm. And I think one other group, Dr. Feinberg, that we could reach out to at the department are those special education state directors and STEM folks, because what we're doing with Project Nurture is definitely having an impact on those teacher vacancies, especially in Douglas County and Gwinnett County.
And maybe we could encourage the state legislature to put some money into supporting a residency model across the state for anybody to use, and so that residents could be attached to rural schools. That would be a good thing.
I agree.
I thought I heard someone else who had a question, but thank you, Dr. Ogletree, I completely agree. Am I doing a good enough wait time, Dr. Benson?
I have a question.
So. Oh, I hear a question.
Cool. Okay. I have a question. Is Project Nurture, could you who is it for? Is it for people who just graduated from college with their a degree in education, or what exactly is it for?
I could answer that.
Oh, thank you, future Dr. White.
Yeah. Definitely try. So, Cole, you do have to have a bachelor's degree, but it does not have to be in education. The grant has, I know it's transitioned over the past couple of years, because before, I had an undergrad degree in education and I was able to go into, into the program, but you cannot be certified as a teacher yet. Because Project Nurture, through Project Nurture, you get your initial certification. So that's who we're looking for. And a lot of career changers come through Project Nurture.
All right, thank you.
But when you're ready for that master's, Cole, we'll be here. I'm sure we'll have some other grants. So don't forget about us.
All right, a bachelor, master, and specialist.
That's right. That's right.
And Cole,
yes.
And Cole, just so you know, there is lots of conversation at the federal government level about how to support young people who want to go into teaching. Because many times the big hurdle is financing for that. So student forgiveness loans and some other initiatives are being discussed once again.
Oh, yes, I can understand that. In the organization that I'm running to increase teacher morale at my school, we're trying to have a program where we create fun events and things like that to get people interested in teaching. And we just need to find funding. We have all these ideas, but we need funding for it. So, yeah.
The interesting part of this grant Nurture is that it is a comprehensive. I mean, we have involved high school students. We have teachers who may or may not have their undergraduate degree, and we can work with them and sort of guide them along the way. We work with those who are already teachers but want to advance their degree. And if you look at our success over the years, and Dr. Benson, Dr. Ogletree, Dr. Feinberg, and others have certainly been with previous grants, but we have people who have been in the program as teacher residents, and they're now in doctoral programs, and they've received their degree, their terminal degree, and they've gone on to greater leadership positions like Dr. Price and just have outstanding awards, not only in the state, but nationally. So it's a very unique program because of all the resources and the support that's really provided.
Well, we're a minute past the Q&A time, so should we move on? And if there's another question, happy to answer it, but we can move on to the evaluation component with Dr. Ogletree and Dr. Hendrick.
Yeah. Well, I just can't even talk about how inspired I am after today. And I love teachers and teaching, and I don't know, running into a band director. I was a band director. It was just a beautiful thing to hear from everybody. And Maurice, I just can't say enough to you about the work that you do with your students. But we're here to ask you to fill out the evaluation form link that is going to be placed in the chat box, right? Aaron, you're going to put it in the chat right now. And I want you to go do it right now while I'm talking. I'm going to keep talking. But I want you to go over there right now. It won't take but two minutes of your time to answer the few questions. And it really gives us continuous feedback on what we're doing and the programming that we provide. And we really want to provide meaningful programming to you and information that you can leave with. So if you would do that, right now it's in the chat box. I would appreciate it. And while you're doing that, I'm going to talk to you about a couple of fall opportunities that we have for you to think about. And we will be sending out additional information on them. In September, the American Education Research Association we're running a program about exploring a national collaborative research agenda. And you say, yeah, but what does that have to do with me? I'm not a researcher, but really you are a researcher. If you teach, if you work in the schools, you have wonderings every day about what you're doing. So I would like to invite you to come. We're going to have an online program toward the end of September where we need practitioners and Cole, we need you, young people that are interested in education and potential research to come and talk with us about a potential national research agenda for, we call it professional development schools, but it's really school community university partnerships. It's really school and university partnerships. So I will be sending out information on that. When you see it, it's AERA, and it's exploring a national collaborative research agenda. Dr. Feinberg's on it, and Dr. Benson, we've been working on it a solid 2 years almost since the pandemic started, and we're about to get finished, and having practitioners there would really help validate what we're doing. The second thing I'd like to invite you to is PDS Serve. And PDS Serve is a low-cost conference that's going to occur this year in November, where you can present what's going on in your classroom, what interesting things you found out, or your research if you have any research, any action research that you've been doing. And it's going to be the 1st of November. And Joe helped me, but I believe that we're going to be, the main theme is about the joy of teaching. Because if there's no joy in it, what's the point? So, I mean, you've really got to bring joy into teaching, and you know, we're trying to look at that and trying to encourage that. It's very low cost. I will say that Dr. Price is on that board. And thank you, Dr. Price, for all the work you've done there. And Joe, Dr. Feinberg's on that board as well. And it will be occurring in Atlanta. And it is in person. So it's at Georgia State. We have Friday, we go and visit schools if you're interested in visiting schools. And on Saturday, we will have the conference. So I would encourage you, we'll send it out to everybody, but we'll let you know. And it's very low cost. We keep it low cost. That's the whole point. is that we want young educators and young potential educators there to, and we want you to bring people who might want to be an educator. We're trying to encourage people to teach. So,
and we may have some scholarships. And we may have some scholarships if you're, you know, current student or want to go into education and just don't have the funds. But as Dr. Ogletree said, it will be very low cost. Basically, the cost is to cover the food that we're providing. So there is food included.
And it runs from about 9 to 3. It's not, but we usually have really good people just like this one. This one was fabulous, but we have passionate people that are really interested in teaching. And so I would encourage you to think about that. And so, Joe, are you going to do the call to action, or how are we going to close this out? Your ticket out is filling out that survey for me. Please, please, please do that. And then I'm going to turn it back over to Joe.
So thank you, everyone, again. I'm going to popcorn it to Dr. Benson, but please do the evaluation and give the final word to Dr. Benson.
Okay. Well, I just want to let Norma Green, Dr. Norma Green, know that she was a leader extraordinaire in helping to put together this conference today. I know sometimes, Dr. Green, it was like herding cats to keep us all on the same page, but it turned out to be an excellent, excellent symposium. And a lot of that is because of your hard work. So thank you, Dr. Green, and thanks to all of the committee members that met with her every week, sometimes daily, responding to all of the emails, our family, Douglas County, Gwinnett, Fort Valley, Middle Georgia. We thank you all for participating. We had a school board member with us today, and she's still with us. Thank you so much for hanging in there. I see you. And we just want to thank each and every one of you for staying with us today, even through this last session. And so we hope that you'll reach out to us if you have any additional questions, if there's any way we can support you and your local school districts, anything you want to know about Project Nurture, anything you want us to say to the Department of Education Superintendent, we'll pass it along. So let us be your voice for the catalyst of change. And we're just appreciative of each and every one of you. Those are my last words before I cry. You know, I get very emotional, and especially when it comes to teachers and education. So thanks, everyone. And we hope to see you next year, July 2023. Maybe we'll be meeting in person then, but we'll let you know way ahead of time. So just thank you for joining us today. Back to you, Dr. Feinberg.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing the evaluation, everyone, and have a great rest of your day. And we're finishing a little early, so yay! You know, enjoy the time and have a wonderful rest of your week and weekend.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.